Hello and welcome to ABD Stadium in Broadmeadows for a Dockerty Cup semi-final. First time Avondale have ever made it this far. It's a high-stakes game for both these sides, looking to secure silverware in a busy, compact schedule coming back after lockdown. We cannot wait for kickoff. Josh Parrish here alongside the legendary Greg Blake. I think we'll start with a minute's silence here. Well, Blakey, you must be looking forward to this one. This has got to be one of the matches of the season to date.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Josh, on this Tuesday night in the middle of winter, it wouldn't be too often you'd say you want to head to Broady in the middle of winter on a Tuesday night. But right now, this is the centre of attention. The lights are on. The surface looks magnificent. At the ABD Stadium, it's the knockout semi-final between the Sharkies and Avondale. And to all the Sharks and Avondale fans who can't make it out here because of the restrictions, what a shame you can't be here, because it's going to be a monster game. But hopefully we can bring you all the action in a rather subdued and quiet stadium. But it won't be quiet down there on the paddock. And it'll be the Sharks who are kind of nominated as the home team here at Broady tonight. We'll be heading to the left of screen toward the Sydney end of ABD Stadium. It is cutthroat action. As well, this is I've got to say this, Josh, as we count down for the kickoff. This is the have-nots semi-final, because these two teams have never claimed the Dockerty Cup between them. And of course, tomorrow night, out of semi-final, Hume and South Melbourne. South Melbourne have won it about 43 times, and Hume a couple of years ago. So one of these two teams going to get the chance to break the drought. As Sharks come early, the attack broken up by Avondale in the away strip, the predominantly white strip. And I'll just work it round the back on this. It's very cold, Josh, by the way. I'm just letting you know. It's the semi-final Barcia. He plays it round the compass, that bloke. Dillinger Cooper. Trachevsky through the middle. Numbers are there for Port, but Trachevsky drives away from a couple of challenges, spears it upfield. Sharks will turn it over. So we've played the first minute of the semi-final. It's crisp. The pitch is going to be a little bit slippery, I suspect, so it's going to be interesting for the long-range shooters, and there's plenty of those in this Avondale lineup. 19 games undefeated by the Avengers right now. I'm not going to say juggernaut quite yet, because they haven't won anything, but my word, they are an imposing team, Josh Parrish.
Oh, they certainly are. And Port Melbourne, one of the few sides in this competition that is more than willing to take the game to Avondale. They do take a brave approach, and it served them well in previous fixtures between the two, often claiming a point. They haven't beaten them in quite some time, but there's been several draws, and I think based in the disparity of resources between the two teams, Port Melbourne will be pretty pleased with their record against Avondale.
I'm going to give you a stat, Josh. I'm going to give you a stat. Port have only scored 7 goals all time against Avondale in 12 games, and never more than 1. How about that in any game? As Avondale roll right now, the cross into the hot spot, and a good take, a comforting take by Withers, who just clutched it to his chest. So in this one, they've got I reckon they're going to have to score more than 1 if they're going to claim Avondale, who have been in red-hot form. Josh Parrish.
They certainly have been. Port losing 1-0 to the Oakley Cannons in their return fixture over the weekend. Looks to me they've set up in a 3-5-2. We were expecting a 4-3-3 when we saw the lineups, but a bit of a tweak from Adam Piddock as a heavy challenge comes in from Michael Eager.
Michael Eager trying to plead a case in front of the Supreme Court there. He's just holding out his hands and asking the question, but Liam Boland's copped one. And it's going to sting on a night like this one. It's getting really, really cold up here in Broady on this Tuesday night. Well, he gives them and he cops them, doesn't he?
He certainly does. Michael Eager's been around the traps for quite some time, and he knows the old adage, let him know you're there early. First challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So Liam Boland pulls himself up and puffs out the chest and ambles down to where Luke Barfrosh is waiting for him. The free kick to come in for Avondale. It's 3.5 played. Semi-final night. The winner to go through to meet the winner of South Melbourne and Hume, which is on tomorrow night down at Kingston Heath, I reckon. Straight up Route 1. Boland was at the front of the contest. Katavian. Spears it through the gap. Valentini's in form, but just winging its way past the woodwork. Stefan Valentini.
He is in real goal scoring nick so far this season. I mean, 14 goals, 2 on the weekend against St Albans.
Well, two and two in his last 3 games. That's not a bad go, that one.
I was just trying to puzzle out this Port starting 11. It looks like 3-4-3. 2 in midfield are number 10, George Mills, number 12, Anthony Iancello. Backline consisting of number 2, Luke Barfarosh, number 4, Michael Eager, and number 15, Christian Bombachi. Chris Kiusis is the left wing back, and he's joined further upfield by Chris Duggan. Expected him to play centre forward tonight, but in fact, on the left of what looks like a front 3, with Lathan Dunn, number 22, playing all the way up top. We'll see if they rotate that somewhat over the course of the 90 minutes. Port have to work hard to keep possession there. It's Barfarosh. Got high hopes for him at Port Melbourne. Luke Barfarosh, prodigious young talent. Iancello nearly turns it over, but the rebound falls kindly for Mells. And they'll recycle through their young Carles Puyol lookalike in the back line. Love that hair. Like, you can't miss him.
You're very good at... Yes, I agree. There's Port cough it up under pressure. Boland rounds the corner, but the referee's going to bring it back as he should. In a scoreless game, a scoreless semi-final between these two clubs. Funny thing is about the Avengers, they remind me very much of Port Melbourne when they steamed into the Victorian Premier League in the very early 90s, and they played a really cavalier style of football, but didn't win the big prizes. So, a clipped start to this one. It's very odd not having fans in the stadium. Josh, I don't know about you, but it's just adds a kind of oddly sombre air to proceedings, doesn't it? So we're going to have to rev it up a bit, my friend.
I think so. Sad without the atmosphere, but happy to see that the season can indeed continue. Phil Rickuben is playing in the back line today for Avondale. That's Barcia, the holding midfielder, who missed his slide challenge. Here's Port Melbourne, trying to find a way up that right-hand side through Iancello, who coughs it up. Scott Healy with the clearance. Boland putting himself about, but missed both he and Eager, and ends up with Anthony Iancello again. Good switch out to Jackson Courtney Perkins, who has the beating of his man. What's the delivery like? In fact, it was a great recovery. It's out for a corner. Excellent defending from the left back there, Blake Carpenter.
Interesting time for both these clubs, Josh, of course, because their commitments not only in the Dockerty Cup, and of course they're both well in it in the picture in the league, and then you've got the FFA Cup coming up. There's and all the reshuffling of the fixtures. So how they manipulate their teams and their rosters over this, it's going to be really interesting. This has got the corner on the Broadmeadows proper side of the ground into the hot spot and away by Avondale. Port come again. They've looked really up for it early on. Flags up, won't count. So they're enterprising anyway. They're having a go. They're jabbing and punching the old Port Melbourne. They haven't, I think they've beaten Avondale just once in 12 league meetings, that is. It was back in 2018 from memory. Jacoby, he's corralled. Hughes makes him look, just keeps him a little bit nervous. He managed to squeeze it down that right lane. Liam Bowling looks okay now, and the battle continues between he and Michael Eager. Keep your eye on that one, I reckon. Josh Parrish.
That is the key battle, isn't it? Boland versus Eager.
Yes.
Playing in the middle of the back three today, Michael Eager. He's going to have his hands full.
I reckon there might be a few sparks along the way too, so look forward to that.
It's already been one quite aggressive challenge coming in. We'll see how Boland responds next time he's in position to do so. Here's Jacoby for Avondale after Phil Riccobene does a good job of cleaning up at the back. Barcia harassed by Lathan Dunn, but keeps the ball. Carpenter. Been such an important mid-season acquisition, Mario Barcia, the Argentinian, coming from New Zealand, his last destination. It's really given the rest of the midfield license to drive forward. Valentini, perhaps an unnecessary pass backwards there.
Interesting talking to Supercoach. Saw him Markowski before the game. Who knew he could coach? He was a good player, but certainly making his presence felt with this Avondale team, which has been relentless so far in 2021. Kiyusis tries to run the gauntlet. Valentini gave him a touch. He went to ground theatrically and draws a free kick for the Sharkies on semi-final night here at ABD Stadium in Broadmeadows.
These set pieces are going to be a pretty key part of Port Melbourne's strategy and a key part of their goal threat tonight.
I learn things from you, Josh. That's why I like working with you. I learn.
Well, how dangerous. They've got some height. They've got intelligent movers in the box. Michael Eager always seems to pop up with important goals from time to time. It's going to be an in-swinger instead. Cusis gives it up. Good ball to the back stick. It's the towering frame of Liam Boland, I believe.
Was indeed.
Getting that one away. Barfarish forced to start again through Andrew Withers. Good bit of distribution to find Jackson Courtney Perkins. Now they might be on here. It's Duggan trying to bring it down. Jacoby in the way.
Oh. And
Chris Duggan couldn't quite get his strike off, but a real threatening moment. Good forward build-up all the way from the goalkeeper, Blakey.
They've looked all right. Have the Sharks. That was Dylan Jacoby just getting a timely foot in there. It's a 0-0 game, but Port certainly giving a bit of cheek to the juggernaut that is Avondale at the moment. 19 games on the trot, including cup games. Michael Eager comes up with it, keeps his head, tried to curl it round the body. They'll get a lucky break. Valentini gets a second look at it. Valentini hits the afterburners. Katabian to the runner on that far side. That was Stefan Zinni. Port clear it though. That was a real, they looked just a little bit tentative then.
Yeah,
it's
just
not
a touch
Avondale-like,
hesitant, wasn't it?
Not Avondale-like at all, Josh. Although Zoran Markowski did say that they were a bit rusty against Saints at the weekend. Hopefully they've worked on the rust problems. Like my Toyota, it's got rust problems. Crap falling off it. It's a 0-0 game in the semi-final.
What do you do for a rust problem, Blakey? A bit of WD-40 or something?
I don't know. You seem to know a lot more than me about just about everything, Josh. Blake Carpenter. And bang. A little fender bender. You can expect those in the semi-final. It's going to wind up. It's going to get pretty hot out there, I reckon, during the course of the evening. No breeze to speak of, Josh Parrish, and that's a good thing up here at Broadmeadows.
Yeah, it's a perfect night for football.
I had you get a cold night up here, a co-caller on the other side, and he froze to death. Hypothermia. Terrible business.
Carpenter for Katabian. How's his radar? Just about makes it all the way across the pitch to Valentini. Skips past two challengers. Stefan Valentini puts his head down and drives. It's an offside flag up against Jakupi, and that one wouldn't have counted. Bit of a set two involving goalkeeper and attacker there. And we'll play advantage for Port Melbourne here as the goalkeeper's got it safe in his hot little hands. But there's a bit of feeling in this one.
Well, you would expect as much. As I said before, look, the stakes are huge for both clubs in terms of winning tangible trophies, especially for Avondale. The higher you climb the ladder, Josh, the higher the stairs you reach, the more chance vertigo will set in. Interesting. That's a good. You can write that and put it on a desk calendar. But that's the way it's been for the Avengers. A couple of grand finals, a couple of minor premierships that might have been there. I'd love to win a trophy as Boland cannons that one off a poor player. They get a corner first of the game, if I'm not mistaken, and I am quite often. 14 played, no score in the semi-final. Here at ABD tonight, the mighty Avengers and the equally as mighty Port Melbourne Sharks. I remember, as I was saying before, the Sharkies, they came into the comp in the early 90s. Taki Sfingos, great coach. And they used to play footy. I hope Taki's watching. They were good, the Sharks. Corner to Avondale, Josh Parrish, best young caller in the business.
Thanks, Blakey. It's Katabian who will swing this one into the near post. Danger here, off the line, but the referee picked out a foul in there. A bit of push and shove inside that crowded 6-yard box. It was a great delivery from Joey Katabian. He's got a hell of a right boot on him, and he swung that right into the danger zone. They've obviously pinpointed Andrew Withers as a bit of a weakness. He's a great shot stopper, but he can flap a little bit at crosses from time to time. He hasn't got height on his side as far as goalkeepers go. Maybe Port Melbourne can respond at the other end. It's Kiusis. Looking for Duggan on that little inside channel, but Ricabene saw it coming a mile off, and Avondale have their throw deep in their own half.
Of course, both the Ricabenes played at Port as well.
Indeed.
So Blake Carpenter spears it back. His goalkeeper. And I'll just settle it down. We've played 15, nearly 16. A lot of footy in Avondale's defensive half, though. So Port Melbourne well up for it, as they should be on semi-final night. South Melbourne and Hume tomorrow night down at the Heath. 1909, Josh, first Dockerty Cup final. Carlton United won it. I was only a boy then. We've played 16. It's no score. Then he tried to force it where there wasn't a lot of room. Almost got the break, but Sharks, nervously try to work it out from the back. Doesn't work out for them. Boland, Zinni. Double team. Wins out for Port Melbourne. They, again, half clear it. Bang and a boom. Some heavy work in the clinches then. Dug in. Top scorer for Port this year. Going nowhere. So they'll wait, recalibrate and make it Ian Cello for Mel's. Straight up the middle. Duggan lets it run, but, in the end it almost outrun Hillier, but Port come again. Eager. He's setting a standard. He's setting the tone for Port Melbourne. Kiusis waits. Keeps it on the deck. Well, spinning like the Tassie Devil then was done, but couldn't manoeuvre it out of trouble. We're keeping the pressure on Josh. We've played 17, no score in the semi-final.
I think Adam Peake will be very happy by the way his side has started here. But It'll all be undone if Avondale can sting them in transition. It's Trzeski for Valentini, but he was the wrong side of the last defender. Perhaps that pass just came slightly too late for his liking, Steph Valentini.
He's too quick for himself.
Eustace over the top, looking for Lathan Dunn, but Bon Scott has his angles covered. Haven't seen too much of Bon Scott so far this season. Rory Bryan has been largely preferred as the number one between the sticks for Avondale, but the Queenslander gets his chance in the cup today.
Well, that run of Avondale's 19 without loss, including cup games, has been quite extraordinary. As I say, load up again. Katabian tried to hit the angular ball for Valentini. It's pummeled away. It's going to be a throw, though, to the Avengers at the Broadmeadows end of the ground. Spinning was Katabian. Jacobi did well. It lands it right in the breadbasket of Withers, and we stay scoreless. So there, what's even more interesting, though, for the Avengers, club record, nobody... I do this stat. Listen, 11 in a row on the road undefeated as well, dating back to Oakley in round one last year.
Gee.
So they won't be uncomfortable coming here to ABD Stadium tonight, even though it's Broady on a Tuesday night and it's about 3 degrees. Oh, how about that, eh?
What a turn from Dunn. Here comes Port Melbourne here. Sesnick cuts it back, looking for the return to Lathan Dunn, but a little over-anxious to get in front of the marker there. And
Joe Katabian, it would take a Sherman tank to... As Trajewski wheels away. Boland, long way out from the hit zone. Sharks come up with it. It's been hotly contested so far. Boland just straight into the back of Ancello, who sort of tried to keep his feet and then went stumbling to the deck, and it's going to be a free kick. I reckon Liam Boland's got a little black book. He's putting names in there. Bombarchi. There you go. Good job there, Josh Parrish, under extreme duress, and we're back. We're back and rolling. Oh dear. So Avondale looking perhaps just to run into a little bit of form following that almost stumble against St Albans. That was a remarkable game, that one. They just sort of had to arm wrestle their way through. So, that's some good running, and, well, it got a little bit ambitious in the end from a distance, did Barcia. But again, it's just, I don't know, it feels like they're just a tick or two off their normal rhythm, the Avengers, at the moment.
There's been a few rotations in that starting 11 as well.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Ite Towns on the bench. No Matt Reed, obviously a change of goalkeeper as well. Yusuf Ahmed in reserve as well if they need him. So an embarrassment of riches really to draw upon if they need to make changes. But just working their way into the game. Haven't really fired so far, Avondale. Port Melbourne certainly looked the more comfortable of the two teams in possession and really acquitted themselves well in these opening stages.
I was just thinking, are we too harsh on Avondale?
We have such high expectations of them, you know.
I mean, they've won five straight since that first lockdown break. As long as you're getting a W on the board, I would have thought it's probably getting the job done. It's just, we do have lofty expectations because they do play in a stratosphere all of their own sometimes. Duggan upfield. Oh, that was brave by Bon Scott at the feet of, I think it was Sesnick, but exciting stuff. And Port again. They're trying to kick the door off the hinges right now. We've played 22 and that was dangerous again from Port Melbourne. All the Sharks fans at home on their devices, whatever the hell that means. I'll be enjoying this one right now. Stefan Valentini, he had to stretch for it like a thoroughbred in the Cox plate he was then. Magnificent. Can he draw it down? He had enough room out on this right-hand side originally to build a housing estate. In the end, he'll earn the corner.
It's good defending from Luke Barfarosh there. Closed the space down really quickly. Took a real gamble going to ground there, because if Valentini had managed to flick it past him, he had no hope of recovering, but the gamble pays off and it's behind for a corner. Danger averted just for now. But it'll be an in-swinging delivery from Blake Carpenter. Crowding the 6-yard box again, Avondale. Into the danger zone. It's Valentini at the back stick, and it's 1-0. Out of absolutely nothing. One attack. Avondale win the corner through Valentini. Then he applies the finishing touch. Predatory instincts at the far post. He has scored so many goals this season. Adds another to his ever-growing tally, and Avondale have the lead.
The Avengers are big box office at the moment, and he's the leading man. Oh, Stefan Valentini, that's 7 in his... Well, that's 7 in 4 games for Stefan Valentini. He plays with an arrogance for someone who knows he can play the game and knows he can score, and he did then on 23, and it takes the Avengers to within about a half and a half of a half toward the final. Great stuff, Stefan Valentini. Against the run of play, though, Port have been good. Played 24.
Port will be sick to the stomach with that turn of events after they've played so well in the opening stages. And I mean, it's been a cagey game so far, but they've probably edged it in terms of chances as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just think about that goal too. You want to talk about Valentini. I think he's a terrific, audacious talent is Stefan Valentini. He created the corner that earned him the goal as well. So it was his goal, no doubt about that.
It's great delivery from Carpenter as well, as that one thumps into the dugout. Not too popular with his own coaching staff after that one, Bombachi. Here's a chance for Stefan Zinni. Andrew Withers palms it away. Avondale go from end to end that quickly. They are absolutely lightning in transition. It's been their most fruitful avenue so far this evening, and Stefan Zinni goes close.
It's like they've got a warp speed button. All of a sudden, you know, they're travelling through space. They press warp speed and off they go. They're up by 1, could have been 2. But thanks to Withers, what a great stop from him. And Valentini wrestles his way past a challenge and another challenge. And he faces off against his Port opponents. They won out on that occasion, but you can tell he's up for it too. The adrenaline is coursing through the number 22. Don't worry about that. He's a ripper.
High
As
press.
he goes again. This is good stuff. So, I don't know what sort of signals Zoran Markowski does from the bench, but he's like, get a go time, boys. Off you go. And they do. They gallop away. It's still a 1-0 game, so scoreboard-wise, Port are still well in it. They've started so well, but right now they're getting just a little overwhelmed by the Avengers.
They've struggled with these corners too. The way Avondale make it so difficult for the goalkeeper. Those in-swinging balls to the far post. It's claustrophobic in there. Katabian looking for Ricabene. It's just about on the line, that clearance. Port Melbourne escape. Barcia looking to restart things. Overlap from Carpenter, and it'll be another corner, so they have to shape up again and go through the nerve-wracking experience of trying to man-mark on these wicked deliveries. They've been on point so far from both Carpenter and Joey Katabian.
There's nothing apologetic then about Carpenter. He just went hard, didn't he?
He's a tenacious character for sure. Katabian again. Another good delivery, this time cleared away the defender at the front post. Katabian stepping inside and saw his name in lights, but that one's going to be out for a throw. Not even a goal kick.
He did too, didn't he? I think they're just enjoying the platform at the moment. They've stepped it up a bit. They put it into fifth gear, the Avengers. That doesn't mean anything if the scoreboard doesn't tell you it does. They're up by 1. Jakupi keeps it on the deck. At number 25, he's just rolled gold, isn't he? I see her, he's a beauty. Carpenter. I'll go around the Cape for not the first time this year. Well, it's gone up a little bit, hasn't it? Gone up a notch, 28.5 played, and the Avengers get to Stefan Valentini getting the go-ahead goal. He is on a career arc right now that's registering about 11 on the Richter scale. Stefan Valentini. Bond Scott. And again. It's a 1-0 game. Cutthroat semi-final. The Dockerty Cup in 2021 as Trajewski launches himself into the port half. Trajewski, square ball. It's he draws a crowd again. Valentini. Oh, look, he backed himself and he went against the odds, and the odds won out. But right now the Sharks are just scrambling. They're just bailing a little bit of water out of the canoe at the moment. They're just got to steady themselves because it's a long way from over this one. Josh Parrish on this Tuesday night in Broady. You and I. Who would have thought?
Port trying to regain a foothold here, and it's not easy when you're up against that Avondale press. They get a goal up, they smell blood. Then you're really up against the ropes. Eager for Barfarosh. Harassed by Stefan Zini, who lost his footing. Withers' clearance went higher than it did long. Barcia. Into Katabian and now Trajewski. Great challenge from Anthony Ian. Cello nearly set the counter-attack away, but the long pass doesn't reach its intended target. You know, there's a picture on the Hume City Club room wall of Christian Trajewski as one of their youth team graduates. They honour all those players who stepped up to first-team football from a certain age within the club's youth development system. And Christian Trajewski, although he doesn't play for Hume City anymore, of course, he's one of those players with his portrait on the wall.
Well, he's graduated with honours if you're talking about a first-team place in this particular Avondale team, Josh.
Absolutely. Turned from his stint in Portugal. Still harbours aspirations to make that jump to the professional level in the A-League. Zini. Barfarosh in his way. Ian Cello. Trying to build through those triangles, but where's the option up the line for Barfarosh? He had none and did really well to win the free kick.
It looked like a skyscraper looming over the top of Barfarosh then. In fact, it was Liam Boland. Sia. He plays around the compass so well. Katabian for Trajewski. He couldn't hold the footy. This bloke can.
Surely foul gets done.
Would have thought so. It's still very, very cold here at Broady on this Tuesday night, but it's heating up down there. It's a 1-0 game, the Avengers by 1. And the goal scorer, no surprise, it's Stefan Valentini. Josh Parrish calling the action for Football Victoria. Stefan Zini. Measured by Avondale. Launch it right left. Rickett Bene went very, very long looking for Valentini, the clearing header from Courtney Perkins, and it's an Avondale ball, left lane, inside attacking territory on the coaching box side of the ground with the Football having disappeared officially from... Could be anything out here. An alien could have taken this great expansive bushland there. Who knows who lives
You wouldn't want to go wandering around there in the dark. I don't envy whoever's job it is to fetch that ball.
No.
Like, while we're waiting, would you like a stat?
I love stats.
Because I was trying to track down how many goals Stefan Valentini scored, not in the league, but in all competitions.
Oh, holy moly, yep.
And the number is 18.
He's doing all right, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's got 4 in the FFA Cup / Dockerty Cup, the cup football so far, and 14 in the league. So he's Avondale's top scorer in both competitions.
I'll give you a counter stat to that, Josh, if I may.
Please.
Stefan Valentini joins Liam Boland as the only 2 players in Avondale history to be scoring it better than a goal every other game. I'll just pick your jaw up off the ground, I know. Katavian back for Riccobene, back for Bon Scott. Oops, a daisy. Well, that was nearly an ugly error, and that was from Phil Riccobene. He just kind of speared it out of play off the outside of his boot. Sharks will get it back. We've played 34, and it's a 1-0 game. Avondale lead. You're trying to outstat me, aren't you?
I just realised I made an error there. It's actually 17, not 18. So that was his 3rd in the cup. Just reading my graphs wrong.
Don't correct yourself. It's all about the hyperbole, my friend.
He's not the top scorer amongst the players out there tonight, though. Chris Duggan has 4 in just 2 cup games. 2 appearances, 4 goals. That's not bad going.
Katavian, the outside runners. Blake Carpenter, a great slide in to clear the lines from Bombarci. There you go, under pressure. Now it's really coming in. It's like a thunderclap, isn't it? You know the storm's coming.
Withers going on a bit of an adventure here.
Oh, I'm pretty sure if he had his time back, he wouldn't have set off on that little that little run. Oh dear.
That's the thing that gets me about Andrew Withers. I mean, he has these moments of slight madness. I think he's one of those really eccentric keepers who makes some great saves, but then something snaps and you're not quite sure where he's going with the ball.
How many goalkeepers do you know that are sane? Well, let's be fair.
They're a mad breed.
They really are.
Barchi with the interception, and now it's done for Mel's. Lovely weighted ball. Sesnick cuts it back, but only as far as Mario Barcia, who always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
With the right delivery to usually the right person as well. He's just a class above, isn't he? Avondale by 1. Port started well, and now they're starting to launch some counter-assaults. Bon Scott fetches in the crisp night air here at Broady on Tuesday night in the semi-final. We are inside the last 10 before half-time. It was interesting too. When I was talking to Soren Makowski, and we're just saying, 16 goals by the Avengers in the last 15 minutes. Don't worry, Port 11 or 12 themselves. So we might be in for something of a grandstand finish, Josh.
Long way to go in this one. Trzeski has Jacoupy overlapping from fullback, not quite on the same wavelength as Steph Valentini. It's one of the downsides of swapping wingers so often. It keeps the opposition guessing, but sometimes it confuses the fullbacks when you've got a different winger ahead of you every 5 minutes. Eager steps out confidently with the ball and finds Duggan, who spins and looks up, but that's a poor pass. Straight to Carpenter. Appeals for handball. Waved away, and Port Melbourne have the ball after a good defensive effort from George Melts. Looks up to spray one out to the opposing wing back. Jacoupy up for the header. And again, the Avondale press will kick into gear here. Withers trying to find his radar. Not a bad ball out to Courtney Perkins. Now Sesnick battling for it. Mel's will clean things up and try and build a platform upon which Port Melbourne can string together a coherent attack. It's coughed up again by Sesnick. Boland doing the hard yards. battling through pressure. Here's Tradeski. Just over the crossbar. That would have been a fine goal. At Liam Boland, how about the work rate from your centre forward?
He was sensational, and it was like an entire infantry division on his own, just kind of shoving He-Man style all the Port players aside just to create something. Good stuff from Liam Boland. He's a beauty.
And in fact, it was Stefan Zinni with the final shot. He and Trajeski had briefly swapped places. Leant back slightly and blazed it over the crossbar.
I think the pattern is now set for this one, that the Avengers will play in those remarkably irrepressible bursts as they do, and Port will just keep coming and coming and coming. And with the scoreboard still just poised at 1-0 heading toward half-time, plenty of football to come in this one. It's the chance for one of these two teams to claim the trophy that was first won in 1909. Remarkable stuff. It's actually the oldest sporting trophy in this country, apart from for football competitions. Anyway, Michael Liga clears. I think I just outstatted you, Josh. Josh, do your best.
Well, it was actually lost for a time, the trophy itself, and then found and restored to all its glory, and it is a glorious cup.
It is.
That thing is no joke. It looks like the Stanley Cup or something. It's got the...
It does, doesn't it?
And people haven't seen the trophy itself.
I'm going to date myself here, but I was the first Dockerty Cup finalist. It was 1980, believe it or not. It was Melbourne, Croatia over Brunswick, or over Juventus, 7-0.
Not much suspense left in that one by the end then. Garcia. Intercepted by Kiusis.
Lucky he did too.
Had Stefan Zinni running in behind. Incello for Eager. Having to turn away from Trajeski rather riskily. Parfarosh thumps one into the feet of Chris Duggan, and now they can go forward through Kiusis. Here he is, the Scotsman, rides the challenge. Rides two challenges, he's still going. Weight on the pass, just slightly too heavy for Lathan Dunn, but Chris Duggan showing the kind of steel that made him a regular in the lower leagues of Scotland.
Big broad-chested number 7 leading the way for Port into the last 5 before half-time. It's been a reasonably cleanly fought game, so I expect not too much time added on. In fact, I haven't even noticed the referee, which means he's doing a really ripping job. It's a 1-0 game. Stefan Valentini with the only goal of the contest on 23. Michael Liga, the pressure comes. He drew a crowd really, really quickly. But forced it away. So Port hold their nerve going toward half-time. Winner goes on to the Dockerty Cup final. Loser just goes home. Duggan, Kiusis is the runner down the left. Draws onto his right, into the penalty area, wants his left, goes deep. Jakupi stays with him and off the line. And it's going to be a corner to Port, so they're going down swinging in this first half. A couple of round arms, and they're trying to land one right and bloody the nose of the Avengers before the half.
I think it was that his insistence on getting on onto his left foot that delayed the delivery and scuppered Port's chances of finding a spare player inside that box. I'll have the corner though. Taken by Mells. Scott out to punch. Doesn't get too much ground on that one. It's Valentin Sesnik. Gets it back. Sesnik blocked and takes the sting out of the shot. That block comfortable for Bon Scott in the end.
It was one each when they played up down at Port earlier in the year. Avondale had to come from behind in the last 15 minutes, believe it or not. Just a bead of perspiration drawn then. As they nearly turned it over. Liam Boland, first time, bang, whack. He goes to ground. That was a big old hit. As play continues, Barfrost chests it down. Had to push it away first time. Does so. Trycheski, nimble and quick. And restores the balance. Liam Boland's up and running again, but he's got a couple of massive whacks, Liam Boland, hasn't he?
And when you're playing as that hold-up striker, the physical play is going to come your way, and he's really taken a couple for the team. Straight through the back of him twice, so we'll see what kind of action the referee takes when this play eventually stops or when the next challenge comes in. Sesnick has Courtney Perkins on the outside. Gets it back. Valley Sesnick just evades Lathan Dunn, but it's still alive here for Kiusis. Thrashes it across the 6-yard box. Ricabene away. What a touch from Valentini, and again he beats two. He's round three. Valentini magic. But Bombaci eventually cleans up at the back for Port. Valentini was a runaway train.
He is in a zone right now, isn't he? He just knows he can do what he does.
It's a healthy arrogance that he plays with, isn't it?
It really, really is. You've got to enjoy that sort of stuff. Unless you're playing against him, of course, Josh, in which case it's a minute to play in this first half. Stefan Valentini brings the road show. Port show tenacity and courage. It's a good old semi-final, and just a shame the fans of both clubs couldn't turn out to see it, Josh. We're very, very privileged to be up here. Duggan. Trycheski tried to physically challenge. That was never going to happen. Kiusis offering support. Kiusis will scamper away, will he? Square ball inside. And that is a goal. Porter on the board. Mells. Holy moly. 44 and a half played, and we are locked up. That was great stuff then from Duggan. Great stuff from Port. And Mells gets an equaliser right on the stroke of half-time. It's one each in this cutthroat semi-final.
Persistence pays off for Port Melbourne. Chris Duggan, unbelievable hold-up play. Brings Kiusis into the game, who has a cultured left foot. Drives that one across to find George Mells, and he's a player with A-League experience. He's a dead ball specialist, a long-range shot specialist. Always fancies himself when he's got space from that sort of distance, and he unleashed. What a strike.
Wasn't it, though? And worthy of a semi-final in this decorated, storied history of the Dockerty Cup.
Just had a yellow card come out for Christian Bombaci, I think for an earlier challenge. Maybe it was all the way back on Liam Boland, if you can remember that far
Yeah.
back. I don't know if the ball went out between then and the goal. So free-flowing stuff at ABD Stadium.
More importantly, will Liam Boland remember it? He's taken a couple of knocks to the head.
Oh, we hope so.
It's been a belter so far.
Really entertaining game. Two teams who want to play football, who don't stick 11 behind the ball and call it a day. And that will be half-time. We are locked. One apiece. Equaliser. Well-timed for Port Melbourne. Great time for George Mells to bring something out of the top drawer and give his side a lifeline heading into the break. What a game it's been so far, Blakey. I think a draw at halftime probably fair.
It's not real bad. It's a 1-1 game. Port just for hanging in there, and even when it all looked against them, and they've got what they deserved on this scoreboard at ABD Stadium tonight. Valentini puts the Avengers ahead. Mells gets the equaliser right on the cusp of half-time. We've got a 45 minutes of ripping footy to come, Josh Parrish, and look forward to your company after half-time break.
Thanks, Blakey. We'll take a short break. On the other side, the second half of this Dockerty Cup semi-final. It is locked. It is tight. It is going down to the wire. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to ABD Stadium in Broadmeadows, where we have a tantalisingly poised Dockerty Cup semi-final. Avondale took the lead through Stefan Valentini, tucking it home off the back post. They might be in again through Boland. Just comes up short. Port Melbourne fought back. They responded through a fantastic strike from George Mells from outside the box, just on the stroke of half-time to level things up. So at this point, this game would be heading into extra time. We'll see if that's required. Maybe even a penalty shootout. It's a really exciting fixture. Two teams looking to win a rare piece of major silverware. Josh Parrish here alongside Greg Blake. Blakey, what did you make of the first half?
Oh, it was a beauty, wasn't it? Because they showed what they can do, the Avengers. But Port, they're like Freddie or Jason, you know. They're not going to get killed off easily, I would have thought.
Not in the first act, anyway.
Not in the very good movie reference. And that strike from George Millers. He was in and out like CIA Black Ops. And it's one each, and I reckon we're on the precipice of a really gripping second 45 minutes of semi-final football. As the ball takes a big, long hop down to Withers down at the Sydney end of the ground. If you keep going in that direction, you will in fact reach Sydney, but you won't be allowed in apparently at the moment.
So don't go that far.
Don't go. It's a long walk, I can tell you. Oh, off they go again. That was Mel's. Tried to go around the corner, had to reverse it. Running in from the far side was number 14. Oh, Courtney Perkins, of course. And he drilled it across the goal face. That was a rather enterprising start to the second half for the Sharkies. They've got a couple of supporters up here in the grandstand. It's nice to hear other human beings.
The few Shark supporters are permitted on the 100 persons list, which I think includes all the players and the referees. So it's a pretty lonely old ground this evening. But that was close.
Would have been a couple of Shark supporters, I reckon, sitting there just before half time, and George Mills goes bang, and toasted sandwiches go everywhere, and up they go. Fantastic stuff.
I wish we could have a crowd in for this one, but that was close from Courtney Perkins. Just dragged it slightly across the face of goal. Latham Dunn couldn't get there quickly enough, and now Avondale try and force their way through on the right-hand side. Doesn't eventuate. Should be an Avondale throw off the head of Dunn, who's a speedy character, playing in that number 9 role, the number 22.
Second semi-final tomorrow night between two clubs that have won the Dockerty Cup. So one of these two teams will get an invitation to break the drought. Trajewski goes short, ball through the middle. Valentini, and didn't he nail that with some aplomb? He is an absolute jet right now. He is in... It's the apex of his career right now. That's another 2, and they go ahead again, the Avengers. We've played 3 minutes in the second half, and there wasn't a doubt that he was going to nail that, Josh.
No doubt in his mind whatsoever. When cricketers are in form, they say they're seeing them like beach balls. I think something similar is happening to Stefan Valentini today. The goal seems really, really big when he runs through. There's never any doubt that he's going to slot it away. No exception there. Lovely ball through from Joey Katabian, who's been enterprising all night. Good run in the build-up. Beating his man and laying it off was Christian Trajewski, but well-created Avondale goal. Stefan Valentini gets 18 in all competitions this season. He's 4th in the Cup. And Avondale take the lead once again.
That's a bit of a gut punch for Port. They've given us plenty. Bar Farosh in almost a little bit of trouble against Liam Boland. Eager spears it down the middle. Well, as I said, they won't be thrown in the towel too quickly, I wouldn't have thought. Courtney Perkins with the dance steps, matching like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. The two number 14s went at it, and the ball's out of play. Was that reference too dated, Josh? But they match steps perfectly, and Port will get the chance to swing around arm in response to that go-ahead from the Avengers. We have got a cracking semi-final here in Broady on a Tuesday night.
Port Melbourne trying to replicate what Avondale have done to them, crowding the 6-yard box, swinging that ball in. Bit of push and shove going on that the referee would like to attend to before we...
It's good to watch, actually. Eager's just walking around kind of doing the old don't argue with Katabian and a few others. It's good stuff.
So 6 of the Sharks players in the 6-yard box. Kiusis with the driven left-footed delivery. It's away by Boland, the spare man. Zinni went down under the challenge of Ian Cello, and Avondale will have a free kick that they're attempting to take quickly. Valley Sesnick not so keen on the quick restart. The referee has to step in. Wide for Jakupi now. Taking on Kiusis, who's had to make the long run back from taking the corner, and he wins out. Lung-busting stuff from KK. Valley Sesnick couldn't reel that one in against Katabian. Now it's that man, Stefan Valentini. Will he turn provider now? Trying to step inside Courtney Perkins.
Well, will he get the chance to nab his first hat-trick before he gets dragged by the coach? He scored 2-2 and 2 and 2. It's the Avondale Avengers lurching toward a date with destiny. At this point, Joey Katabian sort of meanders over to take the corner on the broadcast side of ABD Stadium on this very crisp and cold Tuesday night. Avengers ahead. Port equalises, and now Avondale ahead again, and with the corner that's troubled the Sharkies all night. Near post, in swinger. And the header just loops over the bar. It was Blake Carpenter. And it stays 2-1. So one of these two teams is going to get an invitation to take their place on a trophy that has such esteemed names. South Melbourne, Hellas, of course, and Heidelberg United, Alexandra, Footscray, JUST, the great teams of the past. Carpenter slips it inside. Barcia almost outmanoeuvred. You don't see that too often. So 7 minutes played in the second half. 2-1 Avengers. Josh Parrish, the man, with the call.
Playing their way out from pressure. Trajeski on the half turn. Always confident in those situations. Katabian works it out to Blake Carpenter. Rico Bene sends one for Jakupi to chase. He's one of the quickest players in the comp, and he does get there. And he will earn another set piece, another corner for Avondale to try and exploit. They've scored off one already, and it was the left-footed in-swinger of Blake Carpenter that fell at the feet of Stefan Valentini in the first half. Can he repeat the trick? The left back.
It's really clever then by Jakupi.
It's just running out of room. Just knocked it against the shins of Luke Barfarosh, and they have another good scoring opportunity here. The corners are mounting up for Avondale.
I wish I was out there right now. I can't feel my fingers anymore. It's that cold.
Do some laps up the grandstand and back, Blakey, right as rain. Here's Barcia. They play it short this time. Little rehearsed routine, but the delivery from Carpenter is well off the mark this occasion. Trying to change it up, but I'm not sure why you changed that formula, because it's really troubled them. Interesting interpretation of the short goal kicks. I think maybe the Avondale player entered before the Port player had received the ball. Never quite sure on the rule now. You're allowed to receive the ball inside the area, but away we go again.
Every rule of the game's changed since I first started watching. I've got to tell you, we've played 9 in the second half, and it's 2-1 Avondale.
Yeah, you used to be able to use your hands when you were growing up, Blakey, right?
Yeah, all right. If you say so. Lurking blindside is that man, Valentini. How about that for a swoop? A top over the top for Boland at the edge of the penalty area. He has to shield the footy. He'll do it well. He's like wrestling in a phone box then. Katabian through traffic. Pass 1, pass 2. Valentini stumbles. He's calling it outside the area, only just. Stefan Valentini, the absolute go-to man in the NPL here in Victoria at the moment. He is the show. He's on the ground. Hopefully he's okay.
He certainly felt that one. It was a heavy challenge and drew a few shouts of protest from the Avondale media team to our right.
Yeah, but you got to look. He backed himself to find a space between two great big hunking blokes because he's going to get a whack.
If I could sum him up in one word this season, Blakey, it would be live wire.
Is that 2 words or one?
I think
it
maybe a hyphen. I'm not sure.
That'll do.
Katavian over the free kick. Adam Bavka ensuring the wall is appropriately distanced. No other contenders to take this one. Joey Katavian lining up a shot on goal, I would suspect, unless they try something tricky. Here's Katavian and saved by Withers. Too close to the goalkeeper. He didn't get hold of it as he might have liked, Joey Katavian. Now one for Lathan Dunn to chase. He's been chasing lost causes all night. Hillier plays back to Bon Scott, but they're under a bit of pressure here, Avondale. Never shirk away from the challenge of playing through it. It's come off to great effect as Jakupi just takes a loose touch. George Mells with his head up. Courtney Perkins can't get there. It's a bit of pinball, back and forth. Chance for Avondale. Carpenter has Valentini. Gets there just ahead of Bombaci. It's Stefan Valentini. 2 goals already tonight. Looks to turn provider for Mario Barcia. But that's an easy gather for the Port Melbourne goalkeeper.
And he draws the footy to him, does Valentini at the moment. They know he's on. They know he's got his radar exactly as he might. You just watched Blake Carpenter, and there was never any doubt that he was going to slip that outside for Valentini and back the number 22, as you would, given his rich vein of form. 12 minutes played, 2-1. Avondale edging just that little bit closer to the invitation to the Dockerty Cup final. And finally a chance to open the silverware cupboard. There's nothing in it.
What a slide tackle from Blake Carpenter. Just looked like he'd nicked Courtney Perkins' lunch money the way the number 14 reacted. Couldn't believe it. Great little bit of defending, but Port Melbourne attack goes on. Here's Carpenter. And Hillier, the cool, calm head at the back.
Did you do much lunch money pinching in your day at school?
Quite the reverse, Blakey, unfortunately. Here's Lathan Dunn. Bon Scott gathers at the second attempt eventually. Hasn't had much first-team football. Not this season, but he's got his chance tonight and hasn't put a foot wrong so far. And that was a slightly nervy moment. Good touch from Barcia to win it back and set his team away. It's Valentini in behind, in for the hat-trick. Stefan Valentini around the goalkeeper. It must be, and it is. Stefan Valentini, the hat-trick hero, should be sending Avondale into a Dockerty Cup final for the first time. 3-1.
If I had a hat, I'd take it off to him right now. That was... he's just special right now, isn't he? We mentioned before he's playing with a confidence and an arrogance, and you saw it just then. There was never any doubt that Stefan Valentini was going to nail it. He gets the 3. He gives the Avondale side a 2-goal buffer as they start to... well, the handbrake's off now, I think, Josh. The handbrake is well and truly off, and the Avengers may well be on their way to the Dockerty Cup final in 2021.
Come out so confidently in this second half. It was tentative in the first. Had some good patches, but didn't really dominate proceedings. Now every time they go forward, they look like they're going to score.
He's just found a groove, Valentini, isn't he? He won't realise it now, but in 20 years' time, he'll remember just how good it was to be playing football this well, Stefan Valentini.
It's a great ball from Trajeski as well to find him. Just looking back at that goal, Blakey, it was off the Port Melbourne throw-in. They tried to play the 1-2. Barcia stepped in for the interception.
This is good. You've got this replay thing going. That's terrific stuff on
Newfangled technology here. Barcia with the interception. Trajeski with a superb first touch and just drives forward. And what a pass. A fantastic through ball. Valentini, of course, doing the hard yards off the ball to make that run.
See the pace of him, though, too.
He's tearing
away.
Trying
to nail wind to a tree. He's that quick. He was... he's on fire, isn't he? Oh, dear. So we've played just on the hour, a little bit over, and all of a sudden Avondale are putting their foot down on the throat of the Sharks. I'm not giving away Port too cheaply. I reckon they've still got a bit of a go in them, get a goal back, and you never know. But right now, Avondale are really enjoying the platform and getting that sniff. Josh, they're getting a sniff. Silverware. I don't know what it smells like, but it's in there. No, it's in their sights now, which is... only perhaps just for a team that's dominated so thoroughly over the last 3 or 4 years.
Here's Hillier, the Kiwi in the back line. Finds the experienced Riccobene. Liam Boland losing out on that occasion. Lovely feet from Sesnick. Needs to find a teammate now. It's a heavy touch from Dunn. Duggan taking over. Now Ian Cello. Just lost the forward momentum there with that loose first touch. And now Avondale can counter. It's the rapid Stefan Zinni. Looking to take on Barfarosh. He's got an option at the back stick. Would have been 4 for Stefan Valentini, but Withers in the way.
Wasn't rapid, he left vapor trails. He was that quick.
Just electric when they start going forward at speed.
Yep, they really are.
These runaway wingers, and Valentini could be away again. No flag against the hat-trick hero. He's having it all his own way tonight. Just gallop past 3 or 4 there.
He's showtime.
Like it was nothing.
He's showtime right now, isn't he? He's a beauty.
Barcia. There's Jakupi. Trajeski. Threading it through for Stefan Zinni. Boland's in the box. Liam Boland. And that is 4. Avondale emphatic in this second half. Superbly worked. Stefan Zinni, the provider, and Liam Boland, the lethal finisher. Applies the finishing touches, perhaps to this semi-final.
Big ask. 3 to get a piece of the contest and 4 to win for the Sharkies. Oh dear. So all of a sudden, with again, Josh, we've seen it so often with that smash and grab, that sort of powerful go button, and off they go. And all of a sudden the game's gone. Wonderful stuff for Avondale. Heartbreaking for the Sharks. Really heartbreaking because I thought they were tremendously courageous. And back in the contest, really, with George Mills scoring a ripper.
Just trying to work out who played that through ball. It was Mario Barcia. Getting a nosebleed, he was so far up the park. But what a pass for Zinni, and then the cross into the feet of Liam Boland, who adjusted himself, picked his spot, made no mistake.
He knows all about scoring goals. And in the meantime, a bit of concern for Port Melbourne in terms of injuries now. Down at that far end, in the hand of the trainers, I think.
It's Christian Bombacci, I believe.
It is too. Yeah. So he may well be getting a rest. I think, Josh. They go to the bench. It's really hard to.
Yeah, they definitely are. I think the trainer made the substitution signal, the universal. Get this guy off, and
well, bad to worse in a matter of seconds, really. So just to recap, Stefan Valentini on 23. George Mills with an absolute downtowner. It was a beauty just before half-time, but then all of a sudden in a withering burst, as they do. Valentini gets a couple of goals on 48 and 58, and then Liam Boland chucks a bit of garnish on the dish. It's 4-1, and Avondale look like they're heading toward their very first Dockerty Cup final against the winner tomorrow night, Human South Melbourne.
So as Bombachi limps off, I was just having a look back at that last play. Stefan Valentini departs the pitch to a hero's reception, or he would be if we had a crowd in tonight, Blakey, because that is a hell of a performance.
And finally nails the hat-trick. He keeps getting dragged at 2. Tonight the coach, Soren Markowski, in a benevolent mood, says, you can have your hat-trick, son. Off you go. Now over rest.
Job done for Steph Valentini. Bombachi, I think, maybe has done a hamstring in that last play involving, well, with the ball and goal, in fact. Just seemed to lose his footing awkwardly as he was trying to block that Liam Boland shot, and you can see him grab for the hamstring as he goes down. So it's the last thing Port Melbourne need.
So you talked about the depth. You've got to remember too, right now there's no Lundy, no Ahmed, no Towns. It's breathtaking, the depth that they have, as Trycheski scampers out of the centre circle. It takes a cannon off the ankle of Liam Boland. But the depth right now for Avondale is breathtaking.
Just recapping those changes, it's Bombachi off and Tumanopoulos on, the number 8 for Port Melbourne. They've changed the shape. They've gone to a back 4 and 3 in midfield, it looks like. Meanwhile, Yite Towns has entered the fray for Avondale, the number 13, replacing the hat-trick hero, Stefan Valentini. Towns will play in the midfield 3. Joey Katabian joins the forward line. Barcia. One over the top for Trajeski. Barfarosh in the way. Mel's into the feet of Duggan. Was manhandled to the ground, and he's had a rough old evening. Chris Duggan hasn't really had a sniff in front of goal. He's been involved in some good build-up play and played a big role in Port Melbourne's solitary goal on the night, but really hasn't been able to influence the game in the final third. Not how we're used to seeing him. Anyway, Kabene has tracked him right into midfield if necessary. They have shifted him centrally now, Chris Duggan. So Lathan Dunn out to the left flank, and Duggan will take his more familiar role at the pointy end. Perhaps that'll spark something of a revival for Port there in the big hole here.
I'm just going to... I'm not trying to outstat you, but that would make it right now. League and Cup in their last 20 games, won 16, drawn 4, 57-4 and 12 against. It is an imposing record, Avondale, and you just wonder how long they can maintain this remarkable run. Right now they remind me of Muhammad Ali. We were talking about boxing before. And he used to say, if you even dream about beating me, you better wake up and apologise. That's, yeah, you know, they are just in that sort of place at the moment, the Avengers, aren't they? Lots of pressure away from Duggan. Towns and Katabian and Boland and Towns through the middle. He stumbles, kept his feet right to the last minute. He wanted a free kick. Nothing called. I'm happy with it. Port, now it's got to be grit and toughness and hanging in there and just hope a break or two will go their way. We've played 24, so there's still time if they're good enough, if they can find something miraculous in this semi-final. Duggan with the toss back, Natopoulos. I'll do that again when my tongue's not frozen. Sharks manoeuvre it forward. They've got to find something special. But Mel's goal was something special, so maybe they've got a little bit more of that in them. Not according to Trycheski and Barcia. Nope, free kick's going to come back. So Sharks got the chance to maybe land another blow. It's a 4-1 game. Avondale lead it Josh Parrish, best young caller in the country.
They've got a set-piece specialist, as we mentioned before, George Mells. Thumping drive from outside the box already this evening. Let's see what he can do with the dead ball. Let's see if it comes to life for George Mells. Decent angle on this one. A little bit wider than ideally he might like, but certainly still a good position to take a direct shot from. Caduceus feels for his left ankle. Could equally be a cross into the danger zone. Eager is forward. Duggan, another obvious target. Courtney Perkins has got a bit of height. And Tumanopoulos just waiting on the edge of the D for any scraps that might come his way. George Mells goes low. Scott can only parry. I think it was Sesnick there volleying over the crossbar from the most acute of angles.
Yeah, that might have been the moment. They weren't far away, but far away enough to make sure the scoreboard stays 4-1 in favour of Avondale, and the time now starting to fall heavily in favour of the Avengers. 19 to play in this cutthroat semi-final. And I'm going to say Juggernaut now. I wasn't going to before. So the Avondale Juggernaut rolls on.
A couple more substitutions being made here. Jacoupy's off.
Port have got to refocus too. They're very much in that mix for the top six in the Victorian competition, and they've got. I think they're away to Altona Magic on the weekend, so they've got to recuperate from this. Meanwhile, Avondale will be on an adrenaline high, I suspect, and Stephen Valentini will be chugging his own bathwater the way he's going at the moment.
So Matthew Reid and James Riccobene on. Scott Hillier and Dylan Jacoupy replaced. Bit of rotation in the Avondale backline. A couple of subs for Port Melbourne as well. John Quoll will come on the left-hand side. I believe Lathan Dunn has gone off.
And speaking of moving forward, though, Josh, too, don't forget that for Avondale, they might be leading the competition here in Victoria, but they've got a big game here again on, I think it's Saturday night against Hume City, who they're pretty darn good themselves. So all the big games coming the way of Avondale, that's for sure.
Here's Zinni. Puts his head down, finds the byline. Oh, it's headed into the back of his own net. What an awful moment for Jackson Courtney Perkins. But I think Stefan Zinni will take the plaudits for the goal there. Goes to the byline like an old-fashioned winger of yore. Hangs the cross up to the back stick, and Courtney Perkins, who's not really a defender by nature, playing right back this evening, could do nothing but headed into the side netting and give Avondale a 5-1 lead. Emphatic now.
They are. They're headed to the final, the Avengers. Are they what? On the back of Showtime, Stefan Valentini's hat-trick tonight. But I actually really feel for Port Melbourne. Josh, I'm not paying them any lip service at all to say that, they were well in this game. But it's really, and before I was talking about the go button, the Avondale go button, you know what it is? They just take the leash off. That's what it is. And once the leash is off, they are absolutely magnificent, Avondale. Speaking of magnificent, that wasn't a bad cross, and in the end, it was Riccobene.
Yes, the other Riccobene brother.
Yes, both ex-Port Melbourne players, but they're showing no sympathies for their old club, I'll tell you right now.
So it's James on at right back. He's a left footer, I think, so not the most comfortable position to play, but happy to get some first-team football, I'm sure. Port Melbourne corner. There's Tumanopoulos free at the back stick if they can find him. They might not need him as it bounces awkwardly onto the roof of the net. Avondale goal kick, but the Avengers get away with that one.
Well, it's becoming a little bit academic though now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Bo Morris copped 6 and your Lawn copped 3 and Nunawading 5, Pascoval 4 and now the Sharkies in the semi-final. They've got 5 torpedoes through the hull. They are on a very, very steep roll, aren't they? They're wonderful. They really are. Avondale is wonderful at the moment. Blake Carpenter hits Boland inside his own half. A little bit lazy with his delivery, or perhaps he's just semi-conscious from getting a whack in the head a couple of times in the first half. Blake Carpenter again. I like him. He's like a little junkyard dog. Eager and Boland. It was a good battle. Still is between those two players. Barfarosh up the middle. It's all a little bit laboured, though. I reckon they'd be fairly disconsolate. They'd be feeling this emotionally now. Courtney Perkins, I'm talking about Port, of course, just to get whacked over the head like that. It was level at half time. It's not level now. It's 5-1, Josh Parrish.
It's hard to keep playing the same way when you know it's probably a lost cause. This would be the greatest comeback of all Victorian football, probably, if they could somehow wrestle this back from the dead. It's Mells for Johnny Quall. Trying to find his centre forward in Duggan, but header across goal doesn't reach him. The cross mites. Duggan off the crossbar. Well, still a bit of life left in this Port Melbourne side.
It's just that the sands of time through the hourglass are going to be against them. I think 14 to play in regulation. So, by my calculations, they need a goal every 4 minutes now to get to level, Josh. So I think we can just about back Avondale home. And I don't mean to be disparaging about Port because they're a terrific club.
Better side than they've shown tonight. Absolutely. In the second half. They were very good in the first. It's all just collapsed very quickly, the House of Cards.
No, it doesn't take long, does it? The thunder, not the Dandenong Thunder, but the thunder rolls and then the storm comes and then all of a sudden Avondale scored 4 in the time it might take to poach an egg. It's just they're just good like that, aren't they?
I believe Joey Katabian used to run a cafe, so he probably knows a thing or two about poaching eggs.
I don't. I just made that up. I don't know how long it takes.
And to Monopolis. Sesnick trying to keep this in play, but it's just a frustrated kick into the advertising hoardings as it happens. He has to play ball boy as well because we've got no ball boys tonight.
Yes, of course.
So if you kick it away in frustration, you're going to have to go fetch it, mate.
Well,
schoolyard rules.
Oh, dear, you were too busy stealing. Got lunch change. I think we learned a lot about you tonight, Josh. It's a 5-1 game in this semi-final. And Port, God bless them, they haven't stopped. But, oh, gee, that was a good turn.
Johnny Quall has a bit of magic about him from time to time. He's an unpredictable player.
It was all right, wasn't it?
It's a lovely little spin. Cousin of Alu Quall, who's off to Stuttgart now in Germany after making a name for himself in the A-League. Port have numbers in the box here. Reed heads as far as Mells. Never the power on that to trouble Bond Scott.
Your mastery of knowing stuff is just incredible. I'm speechless sometimes, Josh. You just...
Well, the Quall clan, I mean, there's 7 or 8 of them bouncing around in the Victorian leagues. A couple playing for A-League Youth Academy sides. There's a Teng Quall at...
Did you do the Victory family tree or something? That's just
a fascinating family. I mean, such high sporting achievement. Alu's the second oldest, but some of the younger boys are big raps on them. Garam Quall at Central Coast and Tang at Victory. Johnny Quall is not a brother but a cousin. He's had a long and successful career in the various divisions of NPL Victoria.
You are an impressive young man. I'll guarantee there are not many people who would know that. The entire Quall genealogy, that's good stuff. Carpenter, Rickabin, off I go again.
Big hello to the Quall clan if they're watching from Shepparton.
Tell you what, the ratings will skyrocket if they all.
There's enough of them.
Oh, dear.
Reedy. Good switch out to Blake Carpenter, who's in acres of space. Closing down that space was Robson Dem. Raft of substitutions has sprung Port Melbourne back into life. Johnny Quall for Dem. Courtney Perkins now trying to make amends for his own goal. Dem with a slightly risky pass to Barfarosh, but the young centre-back does well. And Tumanopoulos has Mells for company. Now into the feet of Duggan. Might sit for him, not quite. Scored some spectacular goals so far this season, including a ridiculous overhead kick against South Melbourne at Lakeside, and that would have been high up on his highlight reel if he'd taken that volley sweetly. Reid gets a second bite of the cherry after his pass is blocked. And pressing high, trying to add some respectability to the scoreline here at least, Port Melbourne.
If you can hear that I'm not sure if you can hear it over the microphone, but that's not a plane, that's Avondale.
They've taken off and away.
They have. Oh, Valentini waits, cunning. He backs himself to the line. He'll reach it too, pulls it back. Eagers there. Zeni will get another look. He just collapses to the ground under the challenge. Nothing called. Fair enough. Port still willing and able and trying to give something in the last 8 or so minutes. Eager outside. Courtney Perkins lopes away. Oh, gee, that Katabian, well, he missed the target completely. Well, it doesn't matter because Avondale will come up with it again. They're kind of coasting to the line to some extent. They deliver that devastating package as they do, and then they'll just march steadily onward toward the finish line. Blake Carpenter back for Ricabene. 37 played. It's a 5-1 scoreline, and it's quite the thumping. 4 goals in the second half to the Avengers in a masterful sort of showpiece of about 20 minutes.
Two balls on the pitch for a moment, but that situation's been addressed now. Sesnick. Barcia. Ricobene goes back to his goalkeeper, who launches it in the direction of Liam Boland. Eagers all over him. Nicely done by Michael Eager. Just knows where the line is, the veteran centre-half. And Tumanopoulos. Into Robson Dem. Courtney Perkins charging forward on the overlap. 4 in the box for Port Melbourne. Duggan couldn't get there. Sesnick tried to centre. And it breaks down. Bit of space for Yite Towns to run into, but the pass doesn't reach him. Mells out to Edwards. The substitute playing in Valley Sesnick. Lovely feet from Edwards. In low to Duggan, but Matthew Reid was right behind him. Duggan has Barfarosh. Yell of frustration as he couldn't control that. The centre-back who went on a little charge forwards to try and provide an option.
That's the story. That distills Port's story tonight, because the movement was good, it was promising, and just at the last minute, Barfarosh just slightly stumbled. He's off balance, and a howl of frustration as Avondale coast toward yet another opportunity to take some silverware back to Avenger Park. And I tell you what, it's an impressive piece of silverware. We were talking about it before. It's a great trophy. It's 112 years old now, as Port in garbage time really now. Look to rectify something on the scoreboard. That spinning shot toward their top scorer. And takes a cannon. Who's down there? Barcia. Just squeezed it upfield. It's going to be a Port ball. Oh, well, they're staying there. They're making it can't be called a contest, but good on them. They're showing pluck. That's the thing. And that's all you can do at this point in the game. Pride and pluck, if you will.
Bit of an opportunity for these fringe players as well to impress and try and get themselves a start in the league. They've made 4 changes here, Port, and all of these guys will be chomping at the bit for first team action when the league comes back this weekend. Was Chris Duggan collected by Avondale's captain for the night, Phil Riccobene, and
it was Olympic Games standard spiral to the ground as well.
Went flying, Duggan, and now maybe George Mells will have another opportunity to put one on goal.
Well, he scored an absolute frozen rope in that minute or so before half-time, and all of a sudden the Port supporters thought we're a chance here, but now it's just trying to save a little bit of face. It's a 5-1 scoreline. Josh Parrish, get the whip out and ride us home.
4 in the wall for Avondale. A few questions about Robson Dem's involvement in that wall. Not supposed to be able to influence the defensive wall anymore. A recent rule change. Here's Mells to curl one. It's into the wall. Barfarosh with the wild try. It's blocked by Katabian. Barfarosh knocks it forward again. Quoll was lurking. And he's nicked it off Riccobene here, Johnny Quoll. Little step over. 1 or 2 if you don't mind. Robson Dem has Jackson Courtney Perkins inside. That's a good sliding challenge from Barcia. So competitive, the Argentinian. Not going to let up, even if it is academic at this point. Edwards. Mel's directing traffic. Duggan left it. And Carpenter cleared. Now it's 2v2 at the back. Good challenge from Barfarosh, and he copped a knock for his trouble. Referee's whistle goes eventually. Avondale objecting to the young Port defender's theatrics. Free kick taken quickly. Edwards. Eagers charged forward to join the attack. Lovely touch from the centre back. Back out to Daniel Edwards to cross, but that one's well overhit. Just his first touch let him down. It didn't sit for him, and he was forced into a rather awkward stretch to try and get it in with his second.
I just feel like, don't you, that the Avengers have put the queue in the rack for tonight, and they're just going to coast it to the line, as they should. They've got some huge games coming up, including Saturday here against Hume. That'll be a beauty.
Tell you what, no one's told Mario Barcia that that's the policy, because he's still chomping and charging around, steaming into tackles.
There is an absolute imperious magnificence about Avondale right now. No, I don't mean tonight, I just mean at this point in the season. It is just something rather special.
And they've fallen before when the heat is really on, but you get the sense that this side, this time, they made of slightly sterner stuff, and maybe they can finally win the trophies that have eluded them.
You want me to try and do the ladder analogy again? Because I can't remember it, but the higher on the ladder you go, the more likely you're going to get vertigo. I think that was it. It was good before, but it sounds crap now. It's a 5-1 game. The Avengers lead it, and we've got about 60 seconds to come in regulation.
Here's Dem. A little nutmeg there, but couldn't get it on the other side. Out to Zinni. Carpenter joining the attack. He wouldn't mind a goal after his performance tonight. Cap things off. Lovely ball from Katabian for Carpenter. Looks for Boland. Eager positioned himself well. Last thing they need is an injury in garbage time, but Blake Carpenter's come up sore here.
And he doesn't go down too cheaply either, Blake Carpenter, so he's obviously... But it's going to sting tonight. It's a very, very cold night as well, whatever it is.
He's just hoping it's nothing serious as he puts himself through a few paces and stretches it out.
So it looks like there's going to be 2 minutes of added time.
Just cramp, he reckons. Heard him shout to a team official on the sideline, so that's the benefit of having no crowd. You can hear the communications going on.
I really feel for the supporters tonight, particularly in a game of such occasion and such importance to both clubs, that they couldn't be here to enjoy the spectacle, which it was in the first half, and then it became the Avondale show again early in the second half. It's 5-1 as we plunge into stoppage time, Josh.
Trzajeski might fancy a sixth. Will he take it to the corner and waste time? No. Not going to happen. Barcia out to Katabian. Towns making a run out wide. They go backwards. For Carpenter, who's really cramping up now and not too interested in doing much running, if it can be avoided. Towns. Robson Dem putting the pressure on, and now Johnny Cool gallops away. This way and that, but Ricabene wasn't fooled. Carpenter, lovely little reverse ball to Boland. Trying to find Zinni. It was good defending from Edwards in the end. Very pretty pass. A couple of outside of the foot attempts. And why not? And it's all academic when you're already through to your first Dockerty Cup final. Sesnick. Just waiting for the whistle here, Avondale. It's Mells with the ball in. Over the head of Ricabene, it's Duggan, bringing it down, saved by Bon Scott. And they won't get their consolation.
I don't think there's much consolation to be found now, Josh. It's going to be a really disappointing evening for Port Melbourne. There's no doubt about that one. A big second half from the Avengers. They've got a date with destiny in the Dockerty Cup final, the mighty Avengers. And right now, I'd sooner wrestle a lion in a phone box than play against Avondale. They are fair dinkum on a roll. 5-1 tonight and a hat-trick from Hollywood Valentini. He's a beauty.
He is box office, isn't he? 20 games unbeaten for Avondale. No one has been in hotter form than Stefan Valentini, who has a hat-trick tonight. A goal for Liam Boland. The last and own goal from Jackson Courtney Perkins, but I think Stefan Zinni will be happy to claim it for him. Cancelling out the equaliser from George Mells on the stroke of half-time. It was emphatic in the second half. They really turned it on in that 25 minutes or so after the half-time break. I don't know what Zoran Markovsky said, but...
Off the leash. They just let them off the leash. Go and have a run, they say. And then they come back when they're done.
Fantastic performance, and it really is a harsh scoreline on Port Melbourne, but Avondale have been brilliant. They deserve this. They're through to the final of the Dockerty Cup.
I'll tell you who's brilliant, Josh Parrish. You, my friend. Good calling tonight. Best young up-and-coming caller in the country you are. It's been a privilege to be here tonight. I'll let you wrap it up, but these Avengers, look out.
Ease up, Blakey. My head will explode. Well, that's all we've got for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in on the Football Victoria Facebook and YouTube streams. Thanks from our partners in broadcast at Sportscast. Josh Parrish and Greg Blake signing off. The final score at ABD Stadium in the Dockerty Cup semi-final. Avondale 5, Port Melbourne 1.